and I have perfect peace. Perfect love casts out anger. And when anger is gone, fear and doubt, worry, insecurity, suicidal thoughts, all of that is gone, and you are free. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or if you want an autographed copy, you can go to my website at rebuildingtheman.com or call 800-411-BOND. Steve, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. How have you been helped by the show?
I'm going to tell you this. I believe you might go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black man that ever lived on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody before you that's been that great. You know, freeing the slaves is one thing, but you've been freeing people of their mind, which matters, it should be anyhow, to you more than anything else, because with the mind not being right, there ain't nothing else going to happen right anyway.
If you can doubt every thought because you're not your thoughts, if you can doubt every thought, knowing that you're not your thoughts, you don't create them, they're not from God, that they're from the deceiver, the great deceiver, Satan. If you can doubt every thought, you can be free, just like that. At an instant, bring every thought into captivity. It's so amazing. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, on this fine Thursday. What a fine week it's been. No, it's been a fine weekend, and we're here now, and I'm live with you. And it is an absolute pleasure to be back and to see you here in the chat to speak about what's on my mind. We're going to get into it here, a couple of things here. I got a bit of a show for you, you know. Segregation, oh no, you must know by now. It's, what do they call it? De facto versus de jure. It's one of those. It's happening. And I want to get into a couple of things here because, look, I did some of my homework. Some of you might be aware of some homework that was left for the Anchor Baby. Shout out Maze. How you doing, Maze? If you hear this, I did my homework. And we read some lyrics. You know, she didn't like the anthem of the United States. It's an anthem of war. And I agreed with her. It's an anthem of war, of victory. But there's another war going on, okay? And I want to describe it a bit. You might find this interesting. Got a number of things to get into. Everybody's talking about war. Everybody's talking about war. War's happening. Gaza, what's going on? I'm looking at this heating up cartel war. Will there be boots on the ground? They're saying no boots on the ground in Gaza. They're saying no need for U.S. boots on the ground. Boots on the ground in Mexico. Looming cartel war. The advent of cyberpunk America, for those in the know. Look, we're going to get into it. Plenty to get into. 888-775-3773. If you have something to say, you want to talk to the Anchor Baby. And yeah, if there's something on your mind, you can get on the air. 888-775-3773. But what else here? I want to welcome those watching on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. And punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. All places you can watch and support. Rumble.com, dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. And punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. Just repeating there. So all places you can watch, support. What else here? Housekeeping. Doing a little housekeeping here. Looking a little pale from hiding in that bunker, y'all. You just realizing? My complexion has been entirely cave dweller. Okay, and the lighting in this studio doesn't help. They got it lit up for a certain kind of complexion in here, and I don't want to bring this back up. Okay, it's an old wound, old gripe. But the lighting in here is for a certain complexion. Okay, you know it's called discrimination, and there's plenty of it going on. They're saying it's going on with the government. They're saying that there's been a big reveal of money going around, taxpayer money, propping up the left. All sorts of organizations, journalists, apoplectic. Your free journalism is, they're saying, they're putting out the articles, journalism is under attack or won't survive. Not getting money from the taxpayers. Why is that? So they're calling it USAID. They're saying they're funding pillow fluffing. Millions going to National Pillow Fluffing Initiative. What is this? What fresh hell is this? They're saying our money's going.
Programs that Doge are going to cut. So here they are in order. The next program, the National Pillow Fluffing Initiative, at $1.5 million a year. Taxpayers are paying to ensure your hotel pillows were at maximum fluffiness.
That has to be a joke, right? That obviously has to be a joke. That can't be real. But no, then they came out with the videos, and they're saying ridiculous things the government is actually, look, they wrote it in caps, actually spending your money on. So he's serious. Talk about the budget.
We didn't even start looking at that yet. Get ready for that. No, we were looking at this list here. We wanted to start with the National Pillow Fluffing Initiative.
And he's saying actually, it's in all caps, actually spending your money on.
Not when you're spending over $1 million of taxpayer money. We're cutting that. Also, the Bureau of Elevator Music Standards.
Also, look. He wrote also real when he said that. Also real. No, this is ridiculous. Bureau of Elevator Music Standards. It's all a hoax. It's a joke. People believe that. Some people. This was big on Facebook, I just got to say. Some people believed it. The articles came out. They're saying, no, it's not real. Everybody calm down. They're not spending millions. USAID is not sending millions of dollars to the National Pillow Fluffing Initiative. It doesn't exist. Okay? Of course, nobody here got fooled by that, right? Nobody here got fooled by that. That's for somebody else. But for that maybe one listener, we're just letting you know. You got to have a wait and see attitude. Too many people cannot wait and see. But they're saying there are things going on. Essentially, okay, what happened? What actually happened? If like, what's the actual effect? Like, what happened? What did Trump do? And what are they reacting to? Well, the news is about this executive order. Executive Order 14169. Is there a way of saying these? I don't know. January 20th, Trump has signed Executive Order 14169 titled Reevaluating and Realigning United States Foreign Aid. And so it's that executive order people are reacting to. That's like what's happened. Okay? And it initiated a 90-day suspension of all this aid, all this U.S. Foreign Development Assistance Program. What is it? U.S. What does it stand for again? It's like international aid, right? Where did I put that? United States Agency for International Development, right? It was set up by JFK. JFK in 1961 to economically develop the world, health initiatives, providing vaccines, fighting diseases, disaster relief. Okay, so that's how it was put together. And they're saying there are things that's going on. There are things going on with this. Besides the memes that were not real, no pillow fluffing, there are things going on. And it's supposedly unconstitutional. They say the president can't do such a thing. He doesn't have that power. The power lies in Congress, the same Congress that created USAID. They also have the power of the purse, is what it's called. Their job given to them in the Constitution is to handle federal spending. Where does the federal spending money go? And so you got the people, they're pretty mad about it. They're out there. You've heard them, you've seen them. Maybe you've seen them. You maybe saw this one, Ilhan Omar. But what you'll see here is what so many in the establishment, journalists, and activist class in America, you'll see them all, and even around the world, they're reacting much like this.
We get to decide.
Let me turn that up for you. We get to decide, she says.
We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that money gets to where it needs to get. We get to decide.
The power of the purse. You can't do that. That's unconstitutional, they say. But it seems to be happening. it seems to be happening anyways. Congress is what, Republican controlled? Nobody on the other side is really making us think about it. We'll see what happens. But they're saying major money is leaving a whole bunch of people. Some are going as far as saying there's this global network of leftism just being propped up merely by tax money. There's stuff going around, too, that people are denying, though. You saw it maybe on the Hake Report. Ben, one of those actors, that he received money to be pictured with Zelensky. They're saying Politico received a whole bunch of money there, too. They're saying we never received such a thing. So, at least not for the reasons they say. But we'll see what happens with all that. The power of the purse gives Congress the power to tax and spend for the general welfare. Article 1, Section 8. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury but in consequence of appropriations made by law. So Congress decides where money goes. But tell me this. You may have heard about the Politico thing. Now, Politico, news outlet. Just liberals, They're saying it's just a right-wing claim that USAID subscriptions to Politico were payoffs. One side saying that Politico got a bunch of money from USAID and that these were payoffs. And the argument against it is that, no, they were just buying subscriptions for the federal government. And that it's not as much as they're saying. So I don't know what the truth is. Trump is saying, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen at USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. This could be the biggest scandal, they're saying. And, I could say, you could yell about constitutional and all that. You could yell about the power of the purse. But I can't help but wonder, it's like, I don't think, no one can really answer the question for me, why taxpayers should be funding Politico, even to whatever degree, funding all the things they say they're funding. Before yelling about, well, it's unconstitutional, you can't change it. Well, what's constitutional? What makes sense about these taxpayers and what they're funding? I don't know if anyone has answered that, and I've yet to hear it. You could tell me. You could tell me what I'm getting wrong, 888-775-3773. But that's how it goes there. It seems like if Politico, let me pull this up. If it's true, like WikiLeaks says, and WikiLeaks says they're getting this, they source the leftist media. Well, I don't know if the leftist media, but the articles decrying this threat, press of freedom is under threat because they're not getting money from taxpayers. You got to wonder if Trump's foreign aid freeze throws journalism around the world into chaos, like this says, why do they need taxpayers' money for that? And otherwise it'd be chaos. Something else is going on. And if it's true what WikiLeaks says, and they're citing the article I just showed you, 6,200 journalists across over 700 media outlets and media NGOs are funded by USAID. What the heck? 9 out of 10 media outlets in Ukraine relying on USAID funding. USAID's Democracy Governance Assistance is now the largest public donor to independent media globally. So I don't know. Look, the journalist classes has been definitely interesting to say the least in America. Much like so many expert institutions, there's some sickness where people are really, it's like fear running everything. It's like a true fear to question, to think for yourself, so to speak. Because let's say when I say think for yourself, I'm thinking of like a expert in a domain, someone in the medical industry or whatever, civil engineering. They defer to this authority. They defer to they don't, it seems, I constantly see that where, fear and fealty to a grander authority other than their own expertise and their own, what they know, runs this stuff. Okay. So where was I? Journalism is much like that in my mind, a little bit. So, I mean, it's why it's been such a big change with the internet. 2016, first time most people had smartphones for an election. And now with just X, is it fair to say this is a unprecedented level of transparency with the government? It's not your ma and pa's news cycle anymore from just the TV. I don't know. What do you think? So I see calls coming in, 888-775-3773. All this about USAID, Politico. It's really a precursor to something I became aware of just today. And I've come to learn that New York public schools is forcing over 1 million students in most which are Hispanic, Asian, and a little bit black, to go through a K through 12 all black curriculum. I don't know if you've even heard of this. You might find this interesting. And I got to say, talking about New York public schools, Maze, you'll be happy to learn I did my homework. We're going to get into all that, but I do want to get to these callers. Few of you coming in right now, 888-775-3773. Let me pull it up. Oh, who's my call screener out there? Let me know. I'm going to do the calls blind, but okay. No problem, Derek. Let me know. Just type in the name of that first one and let me just get to it. Sometimes the information gets deleted. So I can welcome this caller appropriately here. 888-775-3773. Say again? How you doing, Mr. Pink? It's a pleasure. On the air out of California. How you doing?
Yes, sir. What's going on? Been a while.
Nice. Go ahead.
Yeah, so USAID, how ridiculous is the things that they're finding here?
You on speaker?
Don't think so. Yeah.
All right, that's a little better. Go ahead. So, what are they finding?
Yeah.
Are they? I'm seeing misinfo going around, but there's definitely fluff and fat. I mean, come on.
Wait. So here's my major thing that we're looking at. It's already bad enough that they waste taxpayer dollars on stuff here.
Yeah.
Like for instance, California, they've spent $5-6 billion or trillion, whatever dollars on homelessness in California over the past, 6 or 7 years. And there's more homeless now than ever. All these slush funds that basically all that taxpayer money went into the pockets of the people who ran the organizations that were supposed to help homeless people. All these things, infrastructure is still screwed up, and the Democrats are talking about, okay, well, we need to tax the rich a little more. If we just tax the rich a little more, then everything will be just fine, right?
Right.
But somehow we've got $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. For some reason, we've got,
that's real, huh?
Even if it's a small,
I mean, the $50 million for condoms, those were real. But go on.
Yeah, even if that's a stretch, like even if that's included in fighting venereal diseases in whatever area of the country, that's still unnecessary. Like that has nothing to do with Americans and American taxpayer dollars should be going to that. But even small infinitesimal stuff like $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland.
It's absolutely
what
insane.
Does that have to do at all with
it's absolutely insane
or helping us here?
You know what it makes me think of too? It makes me think of how some of this stuff, like for example, you're talking about just misuse of funds and corruption, going to all sorts of programs. This has been going on for so long that it makes me think about how people, like, for example, like, how do I put this? People seeing the whatever you just mentioned in what did you say in Ireland? Or whatever, the 50 million for the condoms, they'll say that's crazy, that's got to end. But this is really a much older conversation. It's like it goes way deeper than that on things that are probably basic to people. You know, most people probably wouldn't even question the what's it called? They call it I forget what they call it, the type of spending, but how much of it goes to just social programs. They'll be like, well, no, we're not having a conversation about that. We're having a conversation about this crazy stuff. But it should be about that. That's really where 2/3, like the vast majority of federal spending is for social programs that do nothing. That I'm not clear on exactly what they do. Maybe they help in some way, but if their express purpose is to deal with homelessness and all these public ills, they're not doing a good job.
Well, yeah, but it just like the name of the department itself is crazy to me. Just first and foremost, it's called the United States Agency for International Development. Like, what? Why do we even need an agency for international development?
That might be an argument. What purpose? I might be able to make an argument.
I mean, well, go ahead. Give me reasonings. Besides, you got all these problems here. Why do we have to have a completely big, like a government actual thing that's created to
it's called being kings of the world.
Yeah, I guess.
It's called being kings of the world. But no, every point you've made still stands. The whole thing is a mess and corrupt. And even if maybe it was wrong from the beginning, but like, do you need it? Does Congress need, this is, I think, a fine question for someone who knows better, but does Congress really need an agency to appropriate that kind of money in that way? Like, I don't think they even need such an agency. It could just be done like maybe more closer to the original meaning, Constitution, etc.
Right.
Some could argue it's not that there's nothing in a Constitution that allows them to create such an agency, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I read one thing that said, it was $1.5 billion for undisclosed award recipients. Like, what? Like, you can't even say who that went to.
Like redacted names. Who's it going to? Yeah. Could have been anywhere in the world, too.
It's like, you mean to tell me that you can allocate this money, but there's no need to tell us who it went to or what it was for or any of that. It's just, it makes my brain hurt because you think about how many people got gripes with even paying taxes to begin with. And I hope Trump does something about the tax code in general, where we maybe get a flat tax on that goods we purchase instead of it just coming right out of our paychecks. You know, no matter what we say or do, there's got to be something that gives there, because it's like already we have no say in how much money is taken out of our paycheck, and then we have no say also in where it goes, and then where it goes ends up being absolutely ridiculous things. Like, so this is what frustrated me over the past year. What frustrated me over the past year?
Totally.
Hello?
No, I hear you. Yeah, that it goes to the wrong places, Mr. Pink. Loud and clear.
So how about over the past year, it was they could only send $750 to the people at the wildfires and the hurricanes in North Carolina and all that. They're like, $750, you'll be all right, you know? But then here's here's $10 billion each few months to Ukraine for the past 6 years. Like, sure. Like, what?
Yeah, it must take a serious team to really to operate at the level. It feels like it doesn't feel like the first term. I gotta say, and I think I was asking people what they think about this, but some people agree that it must take a serious team to operate at this level with everything they're doing. We'll see what happens. What remains. Exciting times, Mr. Pinkman. Appreciate your call on this. Anything else you want to say before I move the wheels?
Yeah, just let's just stay the course. We got to have these people clean this up, man. It's outrageous, and finally, maybe there's some kind of headway happening here. So
nice. Cool. Right on, man. Call me again.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Okay, so money going around, fund your enemies being funded. You didn't even know. We'll see what it's all about, what comes from it. Doge and all that. Government efficiency, right? How inefficient has it been for how long? But let me tell you, all this talk about USAID and what? Infiltration? Is it that deep? Ideological infiltration? Whoa, man. COINTELPRO. Look, it makes me think about that a little bit. And why? Because we're talking about what even Elon Musk called Marxist USAID and ideologically what's running stuff over there in his opinion. And I'll get back to calls. I see you. 888-775-3773. And how, political maybe and journalism being propped up. Like what's going on is I'll say this, like on some level, I think at the least something like just ideologically aligned people, meaning what? Evil people who agree with each other about anger. Yes, this person is the fault for our problems. And they get together, make groups. And then they support each other, evil family. How else to put it, right? And this was a thing. This was and you remember me sort of mentioning this a little bit, and people will definitely be more aware of this than I. But back in the day, there was a thing where they said the FBI was going way too far on investigating people, investigating organizations. They're like, man, the FBI, they called it COINTELPRO. They found the documents. Some activists found the secret documents, and they published it, or had newspapers publish it, and it revealed all these actions the FBI was taking against groups like the NAACP, the Black Panthers. And the point was the point is that their reasoning was they were groups, insurgent groups, some even armed, like the Black Panthers, etc., that were a problem, a political problem, a problem for stability in the country. And for all the criticisms one can have for overreach, government overreach, the FBI, and the individual, like certain details that seem, I guess, egregious when you just read them. It's like, oh man, the FBI was being pretty mean to certain people, trying to put bad ideas. Allegedly, they told Martin Luther King to kill himself, allegedly. But okay, so COINTELPRO, they're investigating them, and it turns out that for all the things you could say about that, they were like kind of reasonable concerns. They did find crazy things. They found communist funding from Soviet Russia and all this stuff. Not only that, and even if they didn't find like actual connections to Soviet Russia, they found groups that were arming themselves and stockpiling like guns and stockpiling and training and stuff. Black Panthers one. Call that a national security threat. I don't know what you want to call it, but it doesn't seem like their fears were unfounded. You understand? Now, the NAACP, where they were never, from what I could tell, they were heavily investigated and surveilled. That's the group that propped up Rosa Parks, propped up Martin Luther King. They're the civil rights movement, the face, if I can say maybe a little bit. And so whatever, they've been there from the whole time, and they were invested. They didn't find anything like guns or connections to whatever. That could be debated. Some do. Whatever. That was then. I'm moving on. But I'm bringing that up because I guess I'm going to mention the NAACP a little bit. How do I put this? I did my homework, Maze. Maze didn't like the U.S. anthem. She's all like, it's an anthem of war or whatever. And she likes they call it the Black National Anthem, lift every voice and sing. She's like, why don't you read those lyrics? They're like really nice. I forget exactly what she said, but it's like, why don't you read that one? Like, that one's a really nice song. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. So, sing a song full of faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of hope that the present has brought us. That's nice, right? Why do I feel funny when I read that one? Why do I feel funny when I read that one? That's nice, right? Isn't that faith and hope that the dark past has taught us? Are you traumatized in this song? Well, maybe I'm adding to it. But I'm bringing it up because I did my homework, Maze. And so I'm looking at the song. I'm like, okay, what the heck is this song, Maze? Who actually made it? Who wrote it? Why was it written? Was it always an activist thing? And they say James Weldon Johnson, and a poet, they call him, and other things. Black individual back in 1900 wrote this song. Lift every voice and sing. So, wrote this song, James Weldon. Let me pull it up. And I found him to be maybe somewhat of an interesting individual. You know, I keep hearing about this Black National Anthem. I'm almost thinking like slaves wrote it or something. I don't know. This was apparently a song written to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's birthday. 35 years after, he's already been dead for some time. James Weldon himself was born 6 years after slavery was abolished. His parents, I couldn't find anything about his parents being slaves. He ends up marrying a wealthy, educated black woman. And I'm like, educated, wealthy black woman, daughter of an influential black family? In a racist 1900? No way. Obviously, I'm getting an education myself on things that probably all of you already know. Like, Nick, catch up. I've done a little bit of catching up this week. But James Weldon marries a wealthy, a very wealthy. Her father was one of the wealthiest black men in New York, deeply involved in civil rights and black social organizations. Apparently also maybe even a real estate developer. So it wasn't all activism. So he marries a rich daughter of an activist. He himself's not a slave. I'm taking this in that my impressions of the song are just wrong. And I bet you a lot of people's impressions are wrong. NAACP adopts this song. They call it their Black National Anthem. Years after it was written. And then even years after that, MLK comes around and all that. Like, we're talking 50, 60 years already. And then now it's like, oh, no, this is the Black National Anthem. It's serious. This really means a lot. And I'm sure it had its significance. I'm sure it did. I mean, it was written by someone who was black and older. Maybe it had more significance, but I realized that that's how these people operate. You take something that like maybe even as a fact, but you add all this story that's made up, and you get people to believe a big lie. Like that lift every voice and sing is not an anthem of war. It's all communist and angry and snaky, in my opinion. Maybe I'm adding to it in the modern age. And I think about Cartel. They never saw anything weird with NAACP because they're not armed. They weren't armed, and they weren't all that. But it's like the threshold of infiltrated. I don't want the intelligence agencies to adopt this necessarily. Is actually the threshold is way lower, and here's what I mean. It's like the guerrilla groups in Colombia. They were an armed insurgency group against the Colombian established political class. They were armed. They traded drug. They were in the drug trade, made money, kidnappings, assassinations, and then they changed their strategy. They're like, we're going to dissolve, and now we're these people. We are still. And we will now do things democratically. Now they're elected. Now they get elected in Colombia. Their president is a former guerrillero from one of these groups. This same group was involved in a major terrorist attack. 100 people died. He's a president in Colombia. You understand? The strategy changed to let's be democratic. But the heart, what's changed with the heart? Well, it's hard to know what's in someone's heart, but at least you could take what they say. And if they're still saying hate, blame, and victimhood is somebody else's fault that you're in the situation you're in, that then they are charlatans, okay? And so that's what I did my homework, Maze. Your little war communist song isn't going to work on me. Even though it's nicely sang and it's like a hymn, right? It may have it may have even been like activists from the get-go, okay? This guy married this wealthy, educated black woman. And her family was wealthy, influential. I mean, doesn't that tell you we kind of got the history wrong in our minds, our impressions? Just a little bit, like. So what else to say about this? Not much, really. I've gone too long, really. I've gone much too long, really. So why don't we talk to William for a moment here? And I'll tell you about the New York public schools. William, California, you're on the air.
Hey, man, how you doing?
All is well. Thanks, William.
Hey, good show yesterday, man. Good show.
Yeah, right on. Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that they are really triggered about this government spending, and Mr. Pink was on point. If you've seen that list of that money, and some of this money is going to countries that don't like the United States.
Yeah.
Billions. And what's that? Ilhan Omar, that congresswoman from Minnesota?
Yes, Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, she's showboating. See, they lie to their people. The Democrats lie to their people. She goes, we run the purse. We have the purse. No, you don't. We have the Senate and the House and the executive office, and we dominate the courts. And the money that they're crying about and all those jobs that for nothing that they're crying about, that's why they're so angry. The president has the purse. He can take that money and relocate it anywhere he wants. And Mr. Pink was absolutely right.
You make a good point, actually, I think. Because it's like, wouldn't they have done something by it? Like, Elion, the Democrats, it's like, unless they're planning on it, where's their fight? It's like, we have the power of the purse. Where's the,
you know what's bad about that?
The legal fight or whatever.
You know what's bad about that, Nick, is they know better. They know they don't have the power. Why would she say that to the public? You don't have the power of the purse. The House and the Senate is dominated by the Republicans. And the president has the power to take that money and relocate it anywhere he wants. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I don't know that. I don't know about these things.
Not in the perceiving future.
But I'm following what you're saying. The Republicans, because they run, it's like they're running the House and the Senate. That Ilhan Omar and whatever Democrats want to stand behind her, they don't have anything to say. And I think you're at least directionally correct, because if that's true, they would have done something, right?
Because they're screaming
by
about
now, unless they're doing
Musk, right? Why can't they do anything to Elon Musk?
Oh,
let me tell you, when it comes to common sense, like we were talking yesterday, which one sounded like it made sense? Why can't they do anything to Elon Musk? If you don't know, I'll tell you. He's not a government official. He's not an elected official.
That's what some people are arguing. They're saying that's a problem. I don't say it's a problem.
There's nothing they can do about it. and just like we were talking about yesterday, you tell me if this makes sense. I'll go down the list like what we were talking about with the drug thing, the crack. I'm not stupid. I've seen crack corners, crack houses. You have too.
Well, how you know that? I'm joking. Yeah,
okay. They're all over the country. Okay. Who runs them?
Oh, I don't know.
87% black.
Gotcha.
Okay. What did we say? The supplier to the distributor to the consumer. And
right. Black.
And black. And so, and yes, there were even some blacks that were so big, like Freeway Ricky, that even went down after a while. He got so big, he went down there by himself. Frank Lucas went to Cambodia by himself and brought the heroin in because they had another pandemic.
Who'd you just say with the heroin?
Frank Lucas. See, Maze is looking at the movie. Yes, Frank Lucas in the 60s and 70s.
American drug lord.
Huh. Yeah. Frank Matthews, Frank Lucas. Yeah. Pull up their
Yeah,
pictures.
where's the? Did the CIA make them do it?
They depicted that in the movie. What is it? American Gangster.
Oh, might have to add that one
With
to the
Denzel.
list. Well, right on, William. Appreciate.
So just wanted to throw that out, and I did not call. I noticed that she lied. Yeah, I called the black lowlife. I never did that.
I was wondering that. I was like, who called them that?
I was too. She does that a lot. She lies, and she's triggered, and she needs to keep being triggered because there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing. Well, yeah, I was wondering who called who. I don't remember anybody calling blacks lowlives.
She did. She said I said that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
No
say
problem.
That.
We're moving on.
I said supplier, distributor. Supplier is the people in South America. Distributor are the dealers locally, and the consumer are the people who use.
Fair enough. Level-headed,
Talk to you later.
William. Call me again.
All right.
888-775-3773. You know, it only fits. And then we'll move on. And then we'll switch gears a bit. I mean, this is a different story. New York public schools. And I just became aware of this today. I didn't know they had a big old curriculum going off here, okay? And the way it, speaking of anthems, by the way, speaking of black anthems and all that, New York City students learn black history culture through new pilot program. They make it sound so nice. And I look at this picture. I guess this is some of the curriculum materials. Once you brainstorm your anthem, write your 4 lines on your graphic organizer. So you're writing your own lyrics. My Black Studies anthem. Mr. Tilden's model. Okay, so I guess this is supposed to be an example. It gets cut off, but I guess the kiddos, the little bambinos, they get an example. We hear the people, blah, blah, blah. A song for you, and we hear the people. We sing equality. What are the bambinos going to come up with? They're just going to repeat these words, just change them around. Equality is, how old are they? But that song called Black National, here this article starts. Take this in. A song called The Black National Anthem begins the day at the Ralph Bunche School, PS 125 in Harlem. The song is just one part of the Black Studies curriculum that New York Public Schools has now adopted, with the school having a pilot program that all 1.1 million students citywide can follow. I think I don't know if they write that all 1.1 million citywide students can follow. I mean, I don't think it's their choice. This curriculum is, they say it's added in. It's added into their regular studies, but it's a encompassing K through 12 program. Let me pull this up. Hold on. And all 1.1 million students have to. It's just part of the curriculum now. And all black studies, they call it. Black studies as the study of the world. PK through 12. PK? Pre-kindergarten? PK through 12 Black Studies curriculum for New York City Public Schools. So yeah, it's an interesting thing here. When talking about segregation, and we just got finished talking a little bit about civil rights to a degree. It didn't work. I don't know. Did it not work? It didn't work. So it's been a failure. Isn't this proof? They had to do this. It's desperate. We gotta teach them this. But it's been segregated, no? It's kind of been segregated for a while. At least in New York, this has at least been talked about. The forgotten NYC and school segregation. No, that has to be a typo. It's written twice. The Forgotten by Deja Graham. I believe that's a typo. It has to be because at least over here, it says the forgotten. So calm down. It's not black vernacular. The forgotten, NYC and school segregation. It's been talked about. Deja Graham here. And this is a known thing. Do you need a paper to tell you this? The schools in New York and a lot of places in the country, when in certain areas, as diverse as it might be, as diverse as an education system or might be, different areas are they're either totally black or predominantly whatever. New York City has a reputation as one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, yet remains the most segregated place to attend school as a black person. Even though schools are culturally diverse, the population of an individual school is predominantly one specific racial demographic. Obviously, you don't need a paper to tell you this, right? Civil rights, civil wrong, it's been wrong, whatever the dream was, it's apparently a lie. Because no one even wanted it. No, apparently no one even wanted it. They're all segregated. And look, a couple more details on this curriculum real quick, since we're just talking about it, because it's like a mandatory program. It's kind of insane. You got 4 or 5 years old. I think they're as young as 4. They've released these detailed lesson plans. It's incredible. It's all public. You can go check it out yourself. I'm trying to pull it up here. But Black Studies, the study of the world. What kind of a name is that, too? The study of the world. It's so it's like trying too hard to play up Black Studies or whatever they're trying to show here. It's a study of the world. Like, why are you trying to play it up so hard? It makes me think it's not. It makes me think it's not the study of the world. So racial, ethnic composition, maybe you want to see this. I wonder what the Hispanics, the Asian students, that's 41% Asian, 17%, 41% Hispanic, the 17% is Asian, 15% white. So take this in. Taken in America in a future where whites become the minority, you're seeing it here. All reason, just throw it out the window. It's all about the Bambino's identity and how they feel. This 24% is the black students, and they got to go through this. I wonder what the Hispanic students think. And they have these detailed lesson plans. It's quite fascinating. I think they got students as young as young as pre-K lessons about the 5 senses. How old are you in pre-K? Students will 5 years old? Students will describe how objects connected to Black studies / African and Black cultures taste and feel. Wow. Symbols. Let me talk about. What should we do? Frank, the numbers, what kind of symbols should we teach them? What do you think is a more, let me try and pull this up. What do you think is a more useful symbol to learn? These symbols or, I got one for you. Or these symbols. What do you think would be more, what do you think would improve test scores maybe, for example? Teaching the Bambinos these symbols or these symbols? How about these? These are symbols. These are symbols of a culture, of an ancient society. Right? A, B, C, D. So, look, we're just messing around. Some of the details are crazy. I mean, what I think is egregious is going into the details, the nitty-gritty details of slavery with 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, telling them about Juneteenth. They're telling them about Juneteenth, and they got to tell them why. They shouldn't be teaching anybody that young about anything like that. Like anything even close to that. No, don't talk about the Civil War. Might be a way to do it, but my first impression is, nah, leave that out. Leave that till later. You just don't need to do that. Do you need any more details on this? It's crazy. You get it. It's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. I was going to show you one more thing. They're doing Latin studies, Latine. Latinx didn't work. They're trying a different one, Latin. Latrine studies. I just wanted to say, look, let's move on. Look, you get the details. Really what I wanted to say is, how do I put this? I'm even seeing you in the chat. You're outraged. You're just done with the blacks. But I'll say this. How about instead of, maybe I'm saying the same thing, but, before outrage, how about leave the Hispanics? Because, right, they're going to do Latin studies. And this, I was going to show you how this Latino woman is running this whole thing. Leave the blacks, leave the Hispanics into their Hispanicness and into their blackness. You know what I mean? Like, leave them to it. and take your kids out of the school, whatever, and leave them to their blackness. Leave them in their black hole and let it consume them. And I don't mean like hate them. There's if you loved them, you would. Let's say someone came up to you asking for advice or help, and you knew the way. You wouldn't allow any identity or the way they look or anything like that stop you from doing the right thing. You understand? But leave everybody to their devices, to what they're doing. Leave. I get to it with Maze, and she's like Jello. I'm like, and she's like Majin Buu. You know who Majin Buu is? Majin Buu was a villain who was basically like bubblegum. And nothing. You just hit him and just nothing. And I'm left defeated by Maze. Look, it even has an M for Maze. Anyways, without further ado, we do in fact have Maze. Maze, you're on the air. It's nice to talk to you. How you doing?
You did one song, but you didn't do the other one. I told you to compare the two and see which one is harmful or which one is the difference.
With the U.S. national anthem lyrics?
Yes. Why don't you do those? Read those words out too. And see what they're talking about.
Yeah. Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? They're proudly looking at this flag that was still raised after this British bombing in this fort. I forget the fort. Okay. And they're like, we win. We're still alive. This was crazy. We were supposed to not survive this fight, but here we are at the twilight's last gleaming. Whose broad stride? What part don't you like about what part of the national anthem?
I didn't say I didn't like it. I was wondering what y'all have a problem with the black national anthem. That's what I was wondering. What you having a problem with it for?
Because
there's nothing in there that's harmful. There's nothing in anybody fighting. A flag was still there and all of that stuff, but nobody harming anybody.
But how come only angry people love that anthem?
Angry people?
Yeah, how come only angry people with a gripe?
See, that's where y'all get
Nobody loves the black national anthem, and it's just because they like the words. The reason they go with the black national anthem is because they want to go against the U.S. one, and they don't like slavery and blah, blah, blah.
No, you don't like the black national. They don't like the black national anthem because they don't like the truth. And they don't like what happened. You want to erase history.
But don't you agree with me on that one point? And I'll let you say what you're saying. I don't. Would you agree with me on that one point that the only people who like the anthem, the black national anthem, is in a response to the U.S. anthem and white people and etc.?
It has nothing to do with the truth. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have neither one of them.
So they just like singing the black. We just like this black national anthem for no other reason than we just like the words, and us black people like it. That's no other reason than that.
If you grew up with it, why you gotta hate it? If you didn't grow up with it, you don't understand it. That's the ill and uninformed don't understand it. And when it comes to the Freeway Rick and all of those and Gary Webb, I was at the trial. I don't take movies to be my reality. Real life is my reality. So if I was at the trial and I'm sitting here listening to what was going on, some people just out there babbling off at the lip just because he's a CWP, and I'm not going to refuse to not say he's not. And he ain't going to fool me. So that's just how it goes. So he can stay mad and huff and puff all he wants to.
Well, I don't know the details about
care.
Freeway, Rick Ross, and all that. I didn't watch the movie.
He was the one about the drugs in the community. It's just like I said.
I know that much.
And when you call somebody, what you call those the meth labs and stuff, and he giving out certificates, he don't know what the fruit he's talking about. But 85% of the
but black drug dealers gave black people the crack.
Well, who made the
so what's meth labs got to do with that?
Who blowing up houses with
fine,
meth
fine. If that means white drug dealers gave white people the meth, that's a different story. Even if I can't even say.
The only thing
I'm not even going to agree with you on that. I'm just saying.
No.
You're deflecting classic Maze, Majin Buu Maze.
We can sing together, but we
can't get her. Say again.
We can sing together, but we can't talk together.
That's so
true.
You go ahead.
Act like you're ill and don't understand. But I don't care if you understand or not. So the truth is the truth, and a liar will travel. The truth won't stay where it is. So those people that like that song, some of them grew up with it, and some of them didn't.
But
and
again,
so the
point stands, I think. The people who are into the Black National Anthem are angry people.
What?
You can't be... the only reason that you're into it is as a response to America...
America to what?
The so-called history of America.
Yeah, right. The history of America you don't want to hear. And you want to
exactly. See, there you go.
You want to give... Nikki, I told you they got two... I'm like I told you earlier. They have two books. They have two history books. One that was written by some people that's lying and one that was written by with the truth. You don't even know why Martin Luther King even got started doing what he doing. He was not the original person.
Right.
Why they
You're so right. Yeah, go on.
So you're so right.
He was not the original person for what?
No, he was not the reason they was marching. You don't even know why they was marching. Mm-hmm.
What was the reason?
You don't know why Rosa Parks didn't get on that bus, and she was not the first person.
Right, she wasn't the first person. This is this is information I welcome. Who was the first person?
She was the third person, but her last name is Wilson. Her last name is Wilson.
So the strategy was attempted multiple times, is what you're telling me.
No, the strategy was not attempted multiple times.
So then what happened? What do you think happened then?
What happened?
Yeah, so you're telling I'm getting the information from you, Maze. You're telling me Martin Luther King was not, in fact, a grassroots from the ground up operate. He was propped up by the NAACP, and that he wasn't even the first one. That's what you're telling me, right?
Who was running the NAACP? Who was the head? Who was the head of the NAACP?
I don't know.
Was it black people?
I don't know. Great question. Who was it?
No, it wasn't.
Who ran it?
So they're like the ACLU and all those different people. They do not hear, just like I say, you give
Who ran it?
Excuse me?
Who ran it? Who ran it?
You tell me.
What are you getting at? What are you saying?
I'm telling you. Find out. Tell Jesse to tell you, if he tell you the truth.
During MLK's days, who ran it? Is that what you want me to find out?
There's a whole lot of, like people be doing stuff, and you got snitches that come before you get through with you can find the snitches and see they get there before everybody else be in the meeting, and then when they run out the meeting and go tell everything that's going to happen.
Are you trying?
And then you cover the distraction. What?
It looks like a black person ran it. Roy Wilkins?
No black person that started.
No, not started it, but ran it during MLK. Now you're asking who started it?
Yeah.
Oh, who started? Do you know?
Why was it? No, I don't know. I want you to do your research so you can know for yourself and your brain and not listen to other people. I don't do stuff by movies.
But help
I don't believe in movies. Something wrong with you that you got to take a movie.
So both black and white people created the NAACP?
What?
So both blacks and whites created the NAACP?
Somebody did.
Somebody? So not blacks and whites?
What?
So you said somebody, so not blacks and whites?
When you see what happened to Trump in New York, when you see what happened to Trump in Atlanta and all them different places, you just saw black faces. But who was behind them black faces?
Do you consider them white, or do you consider them something else?
Somebody, whatever it was, they don't look like us.
Oh.
They were just doing their job that they went into school for.
This is fascinating. So you're telling me that
NAACP... It's like Colin Powell. We're going to go to Colin Powell. It's like Colin Powell sit there and told that lie. And he admitted he lied. And then before he wanted to run for president, they had a fit because he wasn't good enough to run for president, but he was good enough to tell a lie to start a war for them.
Fascinating. So the NAACP, the NAACP, not only was its founding and its initial motivation in question, this same corrupt group propped up at Martin Luther King as a supposed grassroots movement that was actually propped up by this corrupt organization. This is the information you're telling me, right?
That's not the reason why Luther King was. I'm telling you the reason why he was put, the reason why it was happening because something happened to somebody on a bus, which you're uninformed don't understand when their granddaddies and stuff.
No, I'm somewhat informed. What was her name? The original Rosa Parks before Rosa.
Her name was I told her last name was Wilson.
Claudette Colvin.
No, her last name was Wilson.
You don't know about the story of Claudette Colvin?
I know about the story about all three.
Exactly. So it's all these. So it's all.
But I tell you, one person can't tell you the story.
So the whole civil rights thing is a propped up,
fake
activist movement.
With the civil rights.
And Mays is giving us the info on that, unless I'm misunderstanding that.
It had nothing to do with the civil rights.
I agree.
It didn't start about no civil rights. Thank you.
So we're on agreement, right? NAACP corrupt. Are we both on the same page, Mays, or not? The NAACP corrupt and even its founding.
You flying on an airplane with a jet with no engine. That's what you're doing.
You got me there.
I'm trying to fill it up for you so you can have some, so you can fly. Stop sitting on the cold side. Come on over in the middle.
I'm trying, Mays.
And I'm sitting here looking at this mess Trump doing. Them Democrats or them Republicans, they can do something about it, but they don't want to. They like what's happening.
Who?
But guess what? Who's out in the street screaming and hollering? Who's being hurt?
Who?
We need to just sit back and relax and let them have their thing the way they got it going.
Wait, now you lost me. Who's got to have what?
I know it. Huh?
If you
can, they said it can't nothing be done. Yes, something can be done. Why would you sit
about what? You lost me just for a second. Something can be done about what?
Elon Musk is doing things that breaking the law. In order for you to do something about it, you got to wait till they break the law first, don't you? You can't accuse somebody of a crime that they didn't do. So if he committed crimes, eventually, if he committed crimes, eventually he's going to be stopped. Sometimes you have to lay back and sit back and let it happen, and then that's when you get the criminal.
Well, yeah, I think I can directionally agree with that, Mays, maybe. Mays, please, I got to do it one more time, Mays. This is important to me. This is important to me because I sincerely, this is how I took your information. I'm not messing around here. I sincerely, the way I took your information is you're telling me that the NAACP's original, even that even in their founding, that because they're founded by not people that don't look like you, right? You're saying that they're white people, etc. You're bringing into question even in their motivations of their founding. Are we on the same page here that their motivations was not civil rights, like it sounded like you were saying, and that
it was civil rights. It was civil rights for some, and some it was not.
And that the NAACP propped up people like MLK and Rosa Parks. It sounds like you were saying that. Please clear that up for me.
Who was civil rights for?
She goes somewhere else. I really tried there.
We still on the same topic.
She went somewhere else, folks. I really tried there.
No, I didn't. I didn't go nowhere. I'm still on the same person. Civil rights. Civil rights for what? What do they want rights for?
For black people.
Rights to, for what
That's
rights
what they said.
Want? To stop counting morals in a jar, and all this stuff to keep their land and all of the stuff that they needed.
What?
Or what did they want rights for?
They wanted civil rights supposedly for black people.
But then why did everybody else jump on the wagon?
Great question.
How did they get on?
Because their motivation was never civil rights. It was control.
What happened?
It was control. Do you agree with that part? The motivation was never civil rights. It was control.
How did the Caucasian woman get in there?
How did the Caucasian woman get in where?
Why did she come in there and get some rights?
How did the Caucasian get in where? How did the Caucasian woman get in where? Which Caucasian woman? How did white women become like part of the civil rights thing? Because that's what it was always. The whole civil rights thing was always just, it's like a pyramid scheme. And the only way to keep it going is to keep hate going. You got to keep having a new group of people and a new group that you can blame and so that you can keep the money rolling. That's how that stuff works. It's a pyramid scheme in a sense. So, and it sounds like we're almost in agreement there, but you just keep losing me, Mace. What can I say? I guess I got to go do my homework. What can I say?
Yeah, you please do it, and then maybe you can explain it. And I'm waiting for you to do your homework on the other flag.
All right.
You can't tell me what's wrong with singing both of them.
Why you giving me so much homework, man?
Because you need to put the brain to use. You'll lose it. Come down with a brain disease or something.
All right, so
got it bad.
All right, so
stop blaming black people for everything and think that they just because you see they face.
But wait, where am I blaming anybody? Didn't you just see? I just get through 2 stories of black people still blaming today? They're still blaming. They got a whole curriculum, a whole anthem. I just went through that whole thing, and I'm talking about, and they're blaming, and you want to say otherwise.
What was harmful for the words? Because his brother put the he wrote it, and then his brother put the music to it. It was 2 people. So anyway, you went to about how they was rich and how
that's just a fact. Maze, all you said was a fact. Yeah, Sheldon, whatever his name, wrote it, and someone else put it to music. That's just a mere fact. That means nothing, Maze. Say something. Say something that I can respond to, or we got to move on here.
Oh, I am. What was weird to me, you remember when they did their convention and everybody had a Band-Aid on their ear?
Say that one more time for me.
When Trump did his convention and everybody sitting there with a Band-Aid on their ear.
Yeah, what about that?
Think about it.
It's solidarity, Maze.
Follow. 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 You see one do what you do, and then you turn around and look at other people, and that's how it is done. That's why you're in the mystery in today.
You're not entirely wrong. You're not entirely wrong, followers, but you're just so gleeful to find the little thing. You're so gleeful to find it in everybody else, but no looking in the mirror, Maze. What a mess. What else?
They say joy comes in the morning, and it's going to be here soon. So you have a good one.
You have a good one, Maze. 888-775-3773. See? I'm on the ropes again. I'm like on the ropes. He's putting in work. Maze works us. Maze works the experts. She's putting in work. I'm on the ropes the whole time like this. And it's like I'm dodging, but like I'm getting tired. She's Majin Buu. She's Jello. She just literally stands there and laughs. That's literally Majin Buu. She just stands there and laughs. So, let's move on. Autism. We were talking a little bit about it, okay? Oh, yeah, we got other callers. Hold on. What do I want to do? Liezl out of California. How you doing, Liezl? Let's get to you before we move on here.
Thanks for your time, Nick. And I was telling Derek, I feel kind of loopy because I'm pumped up with Sudafed and Dayquil, NyQuil, all the quills.
You got sick.
I said, yeah, but I feel better. Took just to talk to you so I wouldn't sound too stuffy. And then I do admire. Thank you, Nick, for taking my call. If I didn't already say that.
Go ahead.
I just trying to collect my thoughts here, and I won't take too much of your time. But I'll preface by saying that I was concerned because I don't have solid things to say every time I call. Like when I called Joel, he was kind of maybe goofing off, and I remember Joel kind of saying something about you that. Well, this is what I gathered the way Joel said something in the past. You have to come correct. You have to come correct when you're talking to Nick because if you're not making sense, who's going to tell you? Who's going to call you?
And that's probably my own problem because I'm like, I'll get confused on the air, and then I'm like, now it's like an interrogation, and that's my own ego.
But it's a good thing, Nick, because I pulled myself together. And Joel said he can't really explain it, but I felt what he was saying. And with Maze, I said to myself, okay. If Nick can give Maze time, hopefully he'll be kind enough to give me at least 1 or 2 minutes just to blabber and talk because I admire her gusto and her zeal. You know what I mean?
Why do white people call it gusto and zeal?
Because
they love calling it gusto. She's such a vibe. You know what they say about Hispanics? A Hispanic woman that's just like impossible to deal with. She's such a vibrant woman, they'll say. She's so vibrant. But she does have gusto and zeal. I honestly, my mind went somewhere else. Let's be serious for a moment. Maze absolutely has gusto.
I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it with you, Nick. I'm going to try to make some sense because you had mentioned something in the past about something. Let me just get to it. But
Go.
I saw Joel. I owe Joel a super chat because his show, you guys rock. You guys are really coming with the content, and it's like, wow, I can't take my mind off the things that you guys say. So I'm gathering jewels from all of you. So
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I'm
glad you're enjoying it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so you had flashed Mangione yesterday, and I was kind of feeling loopy because I was on my meds, and I said, wow, there's that guy. So I said, I need to tell Nick this because this is what crossed my mind. And you said something about hell has no floor. Remember saying something to that effect? Nick, that
Yeah,
it never
you hear about rock bottom, but I don't know. I think it just keeps going.
So that's like I have something of substance to tell Nick because it was something that he said. So when you flashed Mangione, my immediate thought when when it was brought to us what he did to that guy, Nick. So my immediate thought was, and a lot of the alpha older people in your chat, and shout out to the Snake Bit because they check your ego at the door. So I love those people. T from Texas, C Texas and T Oregon, my favorites. So anyway, when you flashed his face, I remember seeing that for the first time a couple months ago. Whenever that happened, my immediate thought was there was a jazz brass player in the 70s. His name was Mangione, Chuck Mangione. So that was my immediate thought when I saw Luigi. A millisecond after that, okay, this was my thought. And then, Nick, I'm at work. I have Jesse in my ear. And sometimes, I'll be able to look up because I'm on my break. And then Jesse will ask you something. He'll address you in some way. And then I'll look and I'll see you kind of in that corner and then you had mentioned lighting. So you're in low lighting, right? And you're side view. And I'm like, oh God, he looks like that guy.
You think I look like my Jody?
Yeah. So that's when, I had to share it with you because that's what happened when I saw you one day and I had already heard about that guy. Jesse was asking you something and your side view in the low lights. I'm like, uh-oh. So here's the hell that I had. Here's the bottomless pit that I had. So C from Texas, hopefully you'll be listening to this because it's crazy. It's loopy and crazy, but I want to share it with you nonetheless because Jesse warns us not to indulge in imagination. I was traumatized in my childhood, Nick, by horror flicks. My mom subjected us to that. My dad would hold me, and for some reason, I don't know why he didn't stop it. I watched horror movies, and I stopped, Nick, in my adult life because I was traumatized by the horror from my childhood, seeing movies like that. This is my movie about you, and I pictured Dee from Texas, her because she's gorgeous. I've seen her picture. So in my mind, I made up a story. I said, okay, Nick presented some kind of and Omid was in your chat, one of the streams that you had made months ago. Omid taught me the word film noir because in that stream, it was dark and it felt like as if we were in the car with you. But what really struck me the most about that video was the music, Nick. And the people in chat were like really commenting that you had good music. 2 songs in that stream they were reminiscent of what I grew up in the 80s, the kind of music that I listened to. So I use that in my quick 5-second, 10-second film in my mind, my movie in my head, relating to you with that Mangione guy. Okay, so see, Texas was the face. This is crazy.
So
I'm sorry.
What do you get? Yeah, what are you getting at?
So you were driving, and then she looked at you. You were careening into the night, and then you look like that guy, right? And then she said, "Where are we going?" And then you looked at her, and I said, "Oh my God!" And you just didn't say anything. And then your nostrils flared. End credits. I was shaking like a leaf, thinking about, "Oh my God, I hope she's okay." You see how I associated your face with his face, and so that was like.
And then I killed someone in your.
No, you didn't. No, you did. So I said, "Lord," and I saw her in the chat. I said, "Evidently, she's there, so nothing happened."
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you had a question or comment on that.
No.
But okay, so you saw me. You said I looked like him, and then you thought about a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's just a terrible scene. How Jesse tells us not to indulge in imagination.
Yeah, I'm a killer now.
I associated, but it was just my mind because I just made that up. Not to say that you're that way. It was just something crazy. I guess it was the dark side.
All thoughts are lies, Liezl.
I know. So I know. So
okay.
I just also wanted to say thank you for the vocabulary lessons every day, Nick. Thank you so much because I remember telling Jesse that I really treasure all of you because, especially when you were with Bill, I said this is like a science class and vocabulary.
We gotta bring Bill back for sure.
I won't. I'll let you go, Nick. I'll never reach
thanks,
your
Liezl.
caliber.
No problem. Yeah.
With the words that you say, and I learn, I don't think I'll ever reach your caliber. So one day I'll call you and ask you.
I'm barely monolingual. What are you talking about?
No. You're bilingual. I'm bilingual, but I'm just saying that the words that you use, I'm learning a lot of the words.
Nice,
so
Liezl.
I love words, and I said I have to tell that to Nick because I already told Jesse that. But
appreciate
thank you,
the shout out.
It sounds weird, but I had to just share that. I know if you put up with me, you'll put up with me. Thank you, Nick. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.
Totally. 888-775-3773. Let's move on here. We got what else here? I was about to get into something here. We were talking about 𒒔𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, RFK Jr., and all that. You saw Trump posted on Truth Social saying autism went from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 34. Wow, something is really wrong. We need Bobby. Talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, okay? And so he brought up, he brought up a lot of attention about this. He made the Truth Social post, and it's an interesting one, right? I'd never heard that before. I had never seen such a statistic or anything. Seems significant, no? 1 in 34, it's such a huge change. And so, okay, anyways, that's what was said in Truth Social. That's what was, and then, RFK Jr. Do I know about that? Not necessarily, but stuff, they're putting out the responses. I believe something is pretty interesting about this article. Astonishing rise of autism explained after figures left Donald Trump shocked. Wow, explained, the rise explained. Sorry, I'm distracted by this ad on Daily Mail, and I'm gonna derail the show so you can look at it. Doesn't this look like, what is this? This looks like Roaming Millennial. This looks like someone made Roaming Millennial into an ad, but that's 𒒐𝒊𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, that tax expert. Did someone AI Roaming Millennial into an ad and just like slightly change her face, or am I just tripping? Am I just tripping here? Let's move on. That's an ad. Donald Trump. They're saying they got the response. They got the explanation. Okay, and they're saying that he got the numbers a little bit wrong. The Trump's numbers were slightly off. They say, like, oh, Trump getting the numbers wrong, huh? But look how wrong he got them. Really not wrong at all. Like it's like splitting hairs, I think. The CDC reports about that the latest data suggests 1 in 36 rather than 1 in 34. Though it's unclear if the president is privy to new figures. That's how this article is really written. It says the latest data suggests 1 in 36 rather than 1 in 34. It's unclear if he's up to date with the latest info on this. Still, experts have raised similar concerns about the rapidly rising rates of autism, which they say can't be solely due to better diagnostics and awareness. Okay, so the doctors kind of agree with me. I'm glad I wasn't just pulling that out of nowhere. I'm just thinking the other day, it can't just be like they're just diagnosing it more. Something in how they diagnose, what counts as a diagnose, and other things are factors. It just can't be higher awareness, even though it's probably closely related. All this talk and so-called awareness of it has probably exacerbated it in most, especially in the young. So they're saying there's a strong belief that environmental factors may in part be implicated in developing this condition. And this has been thrown around a lot. I can't tell you, but it's like an emerging conversation that was almost like, I get the impression it was almost maybe derided, like made fun of, pushed over more to the conspiratorial side. You mean there's stuff in our food? You mean they're putting chemicals in the water? What are you, Alex Jones? And it seems to have, there seems to be this, it seems to be a growing attention, emerging data and stuff on environmental factors. They're saying Trump is endorsing conspiracy theories about autism and vaccines. I can't tell you about that, but studies are showing growing pollution and chemical contamination in food and water. I'm reading parts of this article taking in how like this is kind of more of a liberal mainstream publication, but when the normies are talking like this, like studies are showing, and they're not just saying debunked conspiracies about food. We already have the FDA. We're fine. They're not. It's like the mainstream articles aren't talking like that anymore. Interesting to me a little bit. They're saying how toxins infiltrate the bloodstream. They talk about plastics. I can't tell you, but it's pesticides in food linked to lower IQs. So that's all that. The other body of research surrounds aging women. They say this is just one of those things. And if you read some of this stuff, I don't know if you, how do I put this? When I read some of this medical stuff, I'm always expecting like a smoking gun, like a really well thought out methodology. And sometimes there is on really old stuff and diseases, but on this autism stuff, it's like, maybe it's aging mothers. Women are having children way older, and look at all this autism. Huh? Maybe. And that's as far as like the research, it's like, I'm making a point about experts a little bit. Don't let just someone be an expert, that their mind, that their thinking is above you. So anyways, that's the other body of research, aging mothers. And they say, the expansion of the DSM, you may have heard of that, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It's been revised over the years. And for example, it used to diagnose mental conditions like anxiety, depression, bipolar. In 2013, the changes all collapsed into autism, Asperger's syndrome, and pervasive developmental disorder, all into one category, autism spectrum disorder, ASD. You may have heard of it. So now you got a whole bunch more. And when the factors become things like, I don't know, anxiety and inability to do certain things, the criteria becomes huge. It becomes quite huge. I actually know people, or at least I used to know one person who basically, it was quite easy for him to abuse the medical system. It was quite easy for him. He's just like read something about like Valium or something, and he's like, I want to try that. I'm going to tell him I have anxiety. And he almost psyched himself into this. Shout out. Because I remember him almost psyching himself into, he'd tell me, no, man, like, I got to go get these treatments because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I swear just the other day you were just trying to get, like what is it? I don't even know what Valium is. It's supposed to be, like, chill you out. I remember he got himself a service dog. He's like, I need an emotional support dog. He made a big old stink about it, and he got one. So I mean, look, imagine how much of that is going on. And it's like, what? Not even necessarily people trying to abuse for drugs, but just simply for a classification. Like, I have this problem. There's a justification for my behavior. And really, I can stop there. I don't need to take accountability. You're not a doctor. What do you mean take accountability? What a terrible thing to say someone with mental health problems. You know what I mean? It's like you can hear that thinking already. And I don't know if I see that in the industry, in the world. I don't even see a little drop, a shred of, okay, just because you're autistic, it doesn't mean you could just say, it's my anxiety caused me to do this. You still have to work on yourself, right? Or am I crazy?
How are people making it through the day right now? I feel like I'm trying so hard to preserve my mental health and divulge my other interests, like absorbing myself into work as much as possible. But truly, it's so hard to think about anything else other than what's going on in this country. And that's just mental. She said mental. This said mental health check, just so you know. This is
where we check and we have now seen you're crazy and you are okay with your craziness because you can't stop fixating it and you won't. I wonder what you would say if someone told you, how about you just stop thinking about all the crazy stuff? All this stuff is going on in the country. Well, stop thinking about it. I wonder what you'd say about that.
In this country, like, how are people getting through the day? I feel like a crazy person talking to people about what's going on who are.
But that's because you're crazy, right? Her mind is crazy, and how can a person not get crazier if the world tells them you don't have to be accountable? You're just mentally ill. Hello, earlier part of the show, maybe even, huh? Think about that. Racism, etc. Oh, it's IQ. It's decades of blaming. You're telling me that's not a powerful force? I bet you it is.
The person talking to people about what's going on who are especially not on TikTok. And I know, yes, we need to take breaks. We need to focus on fighting one thing at a time. But
why won't you do that? Take your own advice. One thing at a time. Stop thinking about all this other stuff.
Just don't know how to compartmentalize to take a break. I think if I miss...
You don't want to take a break. This is way too fun. Going on, taking this video here, being able to say this is a mental health check, and really what's going on here is so bad. It's like it's a public health issue, and we could all be united in this misery, pain. See, you and I, you know how I feel, right? It's so evil.
That I'm not going to have the information to be vigilant about what's happening. And I have ADHD, which does not allow me to not hyperfixate.
It does not allow me to not hyperfixate. Don't you understand? I have ADHD. I have a problem. So stop telling me to just stop thinking about it because you're not a doctor.
ADHD, which does not allow me to not hyperfixate, especially on things that are changing everything around me.
Anyway, so what's a more destructive force? Like microplastics in the water, which you don't have any control of. You literally have no control of it. Or IQ, things hurting our IQ, or decades of it's not my fault. How about that? So anyways, what else? Autism. Will they get better? I bet you they won't even get better. I mean, I hope they figure something out with environment and all that. Maybe for future generations. But those already, even those environmentally affected, have adopted some sort of, trauma over it. That's like how everybody picks that up in life. So will the autistic ever really get better unless they forgive? I don't know. I'll let you think about it. Autism, let's move on. What else here? Y'all talking about Gaza. But I can't stop thinking about this cartel war. Will it happen? It's been theorized. It's been in political fantasies of America's future. Cyberpunk 2077. America in the second cartel war. The stock market crashes. And LA becomes cyberpunk. So I'm summarizing, but we'll see. I'm talking about this cartel plane that's making flights, not a cartel plane, sorry. A spy plane, top secret U.S. spy plane. It's heating up. I've been telling you little bits. More moves. They designated cartels as a terrorist organization. The theories of the experts are this allows the U.S. military to do certain things. Okay? They're saying, what do they call it? Marks, I have this saved somewhere. Is it papers? Is it papers of Mark? What is it? What am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? They're called something important. Your letters of marque and reprisal is what they're called. Letters of marque and reprisal. Senator Mike Lee proposed that the U.S. government could issue these letters to authorize private citizens or entities to combat Mexican drug cartels. And I believe there was some interesting commentary from Elon Musk on that. Like, such an approach would work very fast. So, marque and reprisal, it can even empower certain like paramilitary, private military groups to deal with the cartel. We're talking boots on the ground in Mexico versus the cartel. The spy planes are going around, flying around the cartel areas. That's what the reports are saying. Look at this beauty. U.S. Air Force RC-135. What long-range spy plane missions? It's heating up. You know, I was thinking about this and that, but this cartel war is looming. I know the Gaza thing's way more. I know the Gaza thing is huge. And I might even respond to some article I read, and because I have my own like impressions about it. And I can't quite about Gaza and Trump and all that. And you know, it's like I kind of maybe want to I want to maybe attempt to express that a little bit, because I don't feel like anyone's really responded to some of my impressions. There's just amorphous, like, oh, it just feels like this or it seems like that. It seems like a lot of people not waiting and seeing. So we might have time for that. And I'll kind of like an open letter, like an open mic to have people tell me what I'm getting wrong or something. But it's, I've yet to, you know, people like, for example, like people have yet to kind of like respond to, like the Muslims are the barbarians and the Jews are like, just at least recently, like usually I'll bring up something like that. People want to go way back. Like, yeah, but what about the terrorist attacks the Jews did? And like, whatever. And like, has there ever been any terrorist attack from Israel to Gaza? I want to, these are some of my impressions. I'd like to open it up if people disagree, but I don't feel like it's been properly responded. Alex out of Tennessee, though, if we have time, we'll see. Alex, I believe, out of Tennessee. How you doing, sir? You're on the air. Appreciate your call.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for taking my call.
Go ahead.
I just had a couple comments about the whole autism thing you were talking about earlier. What, and maybe you can help me on this, because I have my opinions about it, but I'm certainly not a doctor or anything like that. But what is autism exactly?
So autism is actually called autism spectrum disorder. And it's a collection of, I gather, I'm maybe the wrong person to ask. What is ASD exactly? But
because I don't
it's a
think
collection
really
of
knows.
Behaviors and symptoms.
Yeah, well, the thing
it's
is,
it's a spectrum disorder. So a disorder is a collection of behaviors and symptoms that you can reproduce in multiple in people, say like they have this disorder. But this is a spectrum disorder. So you can exhibit, what happens with this is your symptoms can range, and you can exhibit a range of all these or none of these or a number of these symptoms and behaviors, and each one of those you can have it either severely or not.
Well, see, and this is the problem with something that is called because now everybody's kids are on the spectrum, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like, it's funny because when I was growing up, I'm 45, and when I was growing up, I never heard of anybody with autism. Never. And there was no classes for any special kids with autism. There was like retarded kids who, had Down syndrome and, other types of, sclerosis, whatever, all these things that they clearly had a mental or physical handicap. And then there was everybody else. And I remember when I was growing up that all these kids who you would say were autistic nowadays, we just call them nerds. And they were kind of weird, a little bit strange, a little bit obsessed with certain things or whatever. I would say I might even have been one of those guys, because I liked hanging out with them. I thought they were interesting, and they always had cool, weird things that they were into, and they were, to me, they were more fun than the regular kids. The regular kids were always going with the trends and the crowds and all that stuff, and these guys were always just interesting and unique. And a lot of them ended up doing, basically, most of them ended up getting like really good jobs at some point, becoming like computer programmers or something back in the early days when that was a meaningful job to have. Or they ended up, playing video games in their mom's basement forever. But something, most of the time they ended up kind of like, going hard in one direction or another, but they were just considered nerdy kids, and I feel like now that you have this medical excuse to be ridiculous, just like with the whole racism thing, you have an excuse to be an asshole, whatever. People can't wait. They're so happy to have an excuse to be a jerk, and to justify being wrong or to justify whatever it is that they're having trouble with. And that's the thing that seems to me that, like, here's this excuse that's, you can get signed off by a doctor for you to explain all of your issues and not take any responsibility whatsoever. And I think it's a very tempting treat,
Yeah. So tempting, man. And that's the fact that it's not seen that way. It puts like a whole shadow on the whole industry, on the whole thinking of autism. Any expert and academic research on it, it's like you all don't see human nature. You're telling me you've all this whole like world hasn't stopped to consider, that what you're talking about, like the temptation, the human heart condition, and how many would be willing to justify behavior and never get better because you could call it as a mental illness like this.
Yeah, you just claim.
I'm not a doctor, right? I can't. Maybe there's like some real stuff, but that these smart people can't see such a thing, and how likely it can be really like a prevalent force. It puts into question their whole thinking.
I mean, think about like what ends up happening to you when you, like, whatever, you have like some kind of a stomach pain or something going on, and then you go on Google or whatever and you look up stomach pain in my lower right abdomen, and then all of a sudden now you think you got stage 4 cancer or something.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, if you sit there and you tell people over and over again, oh, if you've ever had this happen, then this must be what your problem is. And if people will lap it up, they can't wait to have something that they think is real like that. But we don't have to do it that way. There's other ways to do this. You can just be like, you know what? This guy has an interesting way of processing things. It doesn't mean he's wrong. It doesn't mean he's sick. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with him or her or whatever. It just means that you do things differently. And sometimes doing something differently is a huge advantage in certain ways that other people don't get to enjoy. So I don't really believe that, I mean, like I said, there's clear cases. Like, I have a nephew who has Down syndrome, and he's clearly, has a real condition.
Like a real developmental disability or whatever.
Yeah. And then, but I have other, relatives who, people say all the time, oh, it's definitely autism, definitely on the spectrum. It's like, well, I don't know, man. It just kind of reminds me of some nerdy kids that I used to hang out with when I was young, and They went on to live perfectly normal, decent, high quality life. You know what I mean? But they weren't told that they were broken ever since they were little kids. And I think it's a tragedy to tell somebody over and over again that you're broken. Tell somebody over and over again it's because of racism and that you can't get ahead. It's because of your whatever. It's incredibly discouraging and really quite cruel and evil to do that to somebody because, you know, like I said, unless there's something really clear, you know, you say, hey, find a way. There is a way, you know, and you can find a way as long as but you have to drop the excuses and drop all these things that people give you to give you a ticket to be whatever, you know what I mean, to fail.
I wonder a lot actually, how certain situations in the world would change if one little mentality was changed. Like, let's say with autism, you want to keep the words and the theories, the designation, the DSM that they have ASD and that XYZ. You want to keep all that, fine, but change one little thing that they have to that, for example, how do I put it? Like, that they have to stay that way, or a better way to describe what I'm trying to say is, like, for example, let's say with black people and racism, it's like, fine, you want to keep the NAACP and you want to keep all sorts of theories and whatever and African studies and blah, 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 but fine, we don't have to change all that, but you can keep all that, but also let's add one extra thing. No more blaming, right? White people don't have to just go along with racism. They just drop it and say, we're not your problem. Like, you could keep everything else, but just try that one thing. It's like with people with the silent prayer. You could keep all your prayers, your hooping and hollering, but try the silent prayer as well. I wonder what would change. Like, with with everything we've described so far.
Yeah, I mean, the blaming is a big one, you know, because no matter what you blame, whether it's something outside of you or something inside of you, you think you're, it's like, it's a way, again, it's a way to shift responsibility. And, you know, part of repentance, I think, is taking responsibility, but by seeing it and understanding that it's real. But it doesn't mean that you are accepting it as you. You just see that it's real, that evil is real and it's in you. But it's not like you are accepting that that is in fact the real you. I think that the ownership of it is different from taking responsibility for having allowed it to guide you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's like if you were allowing this darkness, this influence, whatever that is, to guide you, then you're serving it, you're following it, and it's not like, and it's not really that you're doing that. It's just that you believe it. You believe it's true that you're disabled or that you are oppressed or whatever. You
100%.
Believe it, and now it's your God. But if you can see it and you take responsibility for the fact that you did follow that, well, now there's a way out, because now you see that there's a separation between whatever's underneath that pile of junk and the true you. And that pile of junk, gets removed when you let go and let God, and you see that you don't have to be defined by that anymore. So you're free of it in a way. It's because by taking responsibility for being wrong, it's like when Jesse says forgiveness is not asking for somebody to forgive you. It's admitting that you were wrong.
Totally. No, I'm following.
So
it's like being wrong it's like being wrong isn't necessarily a bad thing. Finding out you're wrong implies that now you have the way out. It implies that you could be right in a sense, because you found out that you're wrong.
Yeah, that you could be made right. Yeah, that you could be made right but you can't be made
implies
right
the way
if you
out.
never admit that you were wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on, Alex, man. Thank you for that. Anything else you want to speak on before we move the wheels?
No, that was just the one thing with the autism, my main
Totally.
point. But
Thank you for that, man. Appreciate
All right,
your
man.
call and call me again.
all right, I wish you well. Bye.
888-775-3773 in the last few minutes here. Do we even have time? If you call now, I will get to you. It's just barely a few minutes left. We squeezed every drop out of that show nearly, I think. A couple super chats here. How about we get to them? Wait, hold up. Angband Art, thank you for your super chat. Says, our anthem should be about strength and vigor. Nice. Thanks for your super chat, Angband Art. Let's see here, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Always supportive. People in the Rumble. I should change the title. What a mess. The title says Flight and a Show. Oh, a little bit of a classic title there. A Flight and a Show. Wouldn't that be nice? What's up, Rumble? Thanks for watching. Appreciate seeing you there. DLive.tv/Gorgonzola and all the supporters. BuyMeACoffee.com/AnchorBaby. Anonymous Coffee there. Thank you. BuyMeACoffee.com/AnchorBaby. And all the supporters. Thank you. How about we get to... Hold on here. In the last few minutes here, whatever. Let's get to... We got a call. First time caller here. He's still being handled by Derek. I don't have any other stories for you. We'll have to do maybe GAZA, TRAZA tomorrow. The Trump Plaza. GAZA, more like Trump Plaza. We'll leave that for some other time. But Shane, first time calling out of New York. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
All is well. Thanks, Shane. Go ahead.
Hey, I was super impressed with that last caller. I think he sounded young, but I was impressed by his, take on everything. Just going to echo a little bit, but I believe that psychological drugs are created for spiritual malady, iniquities.
What does that mean?
Basically,
Sorry.
like Quaaludes were created back in the day for, they said like bored housewives, right? So they, would give them these drugs to be able to deal with their kids and, do this and do that. And now you see the progression of where we're at right now with how many drugs are on the market for each symptom of spiritual malady, right? That's just my take.
Man trying to fix the spirit? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, depression, anxiety. I mean, these are all, forces of evil coming against us that we're trying to fix.
I'm picking it up. What you put down. I think it's interesting. It sounds like you're talking about human nature. I wouldn't put it past them. Because think about it. Every one of these drugs was initially, at least, supposed to be had a medical application.
I mean, think of benzodiazepines, right? They were meant to suppress us, right? Or to suppress people. I mean, because we have human nature that makes us alert in certain situations, right? When we're feeling fear and anxiety for a reason, right? Because we're not either connected with our creator or we're not connected with our surroundings. All of that's designed, completely designed, to keep us further and further from, the spiritual connection to, Father, right? God.
Would you
Christ,
say it's less of a
call it.
design and more of just collusion between all of the collusion of the wicked heart? It's like you could totally see the pusher saying, and this will stop your depression. This will be this pill is your salvation.
Well,
you could totally see the person taking the pill saying, yes, I'm ready for salvation.
Right?
False salvation.
It's all encompassing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have. I mean, I don't know if you know, but like this generation of young people, they're on antidepressants and benzos more and more than, say my generation. I'm in my 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every kid now, right? Everything's depression, anxiety disorder, and this and that. When I was a kid, there was none of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
true.
So we're talking about like 10, 15, 20 years removed. Now every person on the planet has depression, anxiety disorder. No, it's spirituality. There is no connection. There is no self-awareness. There's, phones and, media, whatever you want to call it, social media has definitely contributed. So they basically ushered in a source of depression, anxiety, usher in more medication to deal with it. And then, they're not dumb. They, it's all these people, it's.
Yeah, I feel like a crazy. No, totally. It's like the whole thing makes you feel like a crazy person if you pay attention a little bit, because I'm sitting here and it's like, okay, well, so what are you telling me is the problem?
It doesn't sound that crazy when you think about it.
But you gotta, to the world, you probably sound crazy. If you weren't paying attention, you'd feel like a crazy person, because you're looking at this industry there and you're like, okay, what's wrong? And they say, well, look at the world. They have look at the world. They're depressed and angry. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the world. And they're like, no, it's a medical thing. It's like you feel like a crazy person. Like, I thought that was everybody. When you put it like that, the world is suffering from depression, anger. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's tracks with like that tracks. It's like that's not necessarily a mental health crisis that has just popped up, and now we got, you know what I mean? This is how we from the beginning.
It's a created crisis with a financial backing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And that's just what they're doing.
Well,
I mean, I got to be honest. I work in a lot of these pharmaceutical places. I mean, they're not hurting for money. I mean, and they're going strong, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. But it's because I mean, people are broken. I get it. We come from this or that, but never I've seen a person who's on medication who is living a great life. They're just not.
Interesting, man. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that, man. Shane, appreciate you calling me first time here. We got to move the wheels on this one. Call me again. Okay, bye. And all the other callers, I can't get to you. What's up, Marty? I see you there, but we are wrapping it up. That's the show, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show today. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday, for After the Fallen State, as we do. Okay, so I'll be here. I'll be live with you tomorrow after the Fallen State, okay? So thanks, everybody, for calling in, the super chats, all the commentary. We're done with the show. I'm out for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Enjoy your Thursday. See you Friday. Bye-bye. Oh, Lil Nick, too. Bye.